morning, Mark. Welcome to Whistle Talks, episode 5.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kayla. Thanks for having me.
But could I ask you to explain a little bit about yourself and your history?
Sure. So my name is Mark Phinnick, and I'm based in Chicago, Illinois. I have clients around the world who I help coach uh, on complex enterprise software deals.
So I was doing a little bit of research about you, and I see that they call you the pipeline doctor.
Some do, and that's how a lot of this started. There's a lot of organizations that have deals in their pipeline that either don't progress or have stalled indefinitely. And so, that's precisely what I do. Is I help organizations move these deals along or out so that there's accurate forecast. But more specifically, I help them move them forward for accelerated growth.
Today, we're going to be speaking about something that you have quite a bit of experience in, and that is translating technology into the language of the C-suite. When did this kind of topic come into play? When did it become really relevant?
Well, it's interesting. If you'd have asked me a month ago, I would have said it's most relevant when a salesperson is starting a dialogue with a future client, somebody who has never heard of the organization before, and they have to have conversations that matter. So what that simply means is the salesperson has to speak in terms that the client hears from their bosses all the time: increase sales, increase productivity, and we'll get more into that. But what's fascinating is in the last 30 days, I've encountered more and more founders who are having a tough time getting investment money. And what several of them have done is engage me to demonstrate to future investors that they're very, very much committed to building a pipeline. And so they've engaged me as evidence of that. So I think it's starting as early as a startup founder now wanting to go get funding and needing to translate what they're offering into returns on investment to that investor.
I saw in one of your other discussions, you say that this kind of really became apparent post-pandemic. What was the difference pre-pandemic as opposed to post-pandemic, and was there a transition between before and after?
Sure. So a little bit of background and some context. So I've been in enterprise software sales for several decades. I've helped 3 companies go public. I've helped 7 others get acquired. I've always worked with small, scrappy startup companies that had something to sell to large enterprises. And when you speak to others like me who have been doing this for a while, you come to realize we've all been exposed to sales leaders, sales trainers, sales methodologies. We have insights that some of the newer sellers just don't have. And when the pandemic hit, that was exacerbated for some of these people. I felt terrible for a lot of younger people entering the world, the workforce, around pandemic, and to date, they've never had a meal with a client. They've never had the opportunity to meet with people face to face, travel to a visit with clients. And there's a certain element that's missing in their efficacy as a result. Many of them don't have they lack the experience, which means they lack the expertise and the insights to establish true relationships that are helping people like me and others truly become a trusted advisor. They may be advisors, but it's very difficult to establish, or it just takes a lot longer to establish.
Mark, so I've heard that you've commented on the pre-pandemic sort of structure and the post-pandemic structure. Could you maybe elaborate on this and how it's changed?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I think it's very real. There's a generational skills gap between people like myself who have been doing this for decades. So, to put it into context, I've been with a number of very, very scrappy startup companies who sold enterprise software. So we sold to very, very large organizations. But in doing so, we were also exposed to the world's greatest sales leaders, the world's greatest sales training, face-to-face interaction, role playing, team building. And that then extends to customer and future customer interaction, where you actually break bread and interact with people face to face. That's a very, very human to human connection, which fosters trust. And we all know that as salespeople, the goal is to become a trusted advisor. It just takes a little longer when the only interaction that you have is Zoom or email. Many of the people who entered into the workforce just at the beginning of the pandemic and then throughout the pandemic, just they've never experienced that. They've never experienced the human to human connection and laughing and getting real with people in a face to face world. As a result, I see more and more salespeople using email versus calling, Zoom versus face-to-face meetings. And there's just something that's inhibiting the trust that we would accelerate by getting together with people.
Myself included, got into sort of the workforce during COVID, and it's a very different experience to you when you started out in the workforce.
It's just more difficult. Yeah, it's just harder. It's not that it's not being done, but it's very easy for an organization to bring a seller in or bring them online for a demo, and when they do the demo, if they don't have their camera on, or even if they do, you can't get an appreciation for body language. There's just not the sense of interaction that there was, and that is largely what's inhibiting trust, and that's largely where a lot of sellers get ghosted after they give a customer exactly what they wanted, which was a demo and a price. It's just hard to maintain that momentum if somebody's ghosting you and not responding to emails.
Mark, could we speak about language? What type of language should we be using when we're speaking to the C-suite in regards to technology?
Sure. Well, first of all, let's agree no seller is going to speak with the C-suite. I've sold $3 billion worth of software over my career, helped 10 companies exit. I've never met with the CEO of a Global 2000 company. Yes, I've met with CIOs. Yes, I've met with CISOs, but those are people who typically get involved at the beginning of a sales cycle and at the end of the sales cycle. And then they rightfully have people in their organization that interface with vendors. So I don't think that's the question so much as how do we empower the champions of our technology to sell us internally, which must be done at the language of the C-suite. So then if that's the context, I think it's very easy for a salesperson to understand a future client's business. Perhaps if they're a publicly held company, they can go to the investor relations section of a future client, potentially look at their 10K, look at their annual report, read their financial statements, understand where they're growing, where they're struggling, read their analyst reports, and understand what guidance are they providing to the community about where they're expanding, where they're shrinking. I think those are conversations that matter. Ultimately, the sellers have to have empathy for what their champions are going to be asked. So if you go to a board meeting or you meet with, if you ever encounter a CEO or a C-suite member, they don't talk about technology. As a matter of fact, if you go to a board meeting, the typical agenda is, how do we increase sales? How do we reduce costs? How do we improve the business? Do one of the two. And that's when, after that, they'll start talking about what's our security status, what's our DEI, where do we stand on environmental standards, ESG. But it's, businesses are there to increase profitability. So I think it's extremely important that sellers understand organizations buy technology to improve their business. The question then becomes, how, as a seller, can I help my client improve their business? And that's the language that we should be speaking. Those are the conversations that we should be having.
And how is translating the impact of technology powerful for the C-suite?
Well, let's look in, the last 2, 3, 4 decades of digital transformation. These are organizations, half a century ago were running on all mainframe technologies, and the world evolved into client server, then distributed computing, and then mobile and cloud. All of these have driven efficiencies. All of these have driven increased productivity. Now, in the context of artificial intelligence, we're seeing this increased productivity grow exponentially. I work with a client right now that's providing AI for radiologists. And yes, they're helping radiologists spend more time with patients. This is technology that detects breast cancer faster than a radiologist alone. So they're spending more time with patients. And yes, that means that they're able to reduce mortality rates. And yes, they're able to help women avoid unnecessary treatments. But those, as important as they are, they're not KPIs for a CFO. They're not in the financial statement. So what we have to do is we have to translate all of that into things that their clients can reflect in a board meeting. Things like increased patient volumes and increased average revenue per patient. And what we used to use as an analogy, people don't buy, quarter-inch drill bits. They buy the ability to drill a quarter-inch hole. It's the same thing. People are always seeking the business outcomes, the why versus the what. And that's what I help my clients translate what they're doing into quantifiable, monetized business outcomes. It's really fascinating. But if you, this really comes back to your great question earlier about, pandemic. These are just things that we learned and in our formal training. And what I found post-pandemic or during the pandemic is training started turning into product training. There's a lot of PLG companies, product-led growth companies, that they build a product, they get it to market, and there's some people who like it, but the training is largely, oh, here's a video of one of our top sellers recording on Zoom. Here's the features and functions of this product. Here's how it applies. Well, what you're then assuming is that every single future client looks the same. And you're asking your customer base to come to you to bring interest and needs that fit your product, as opposed to the way it needs to be and what we always did. And people who have this insight, we know you can't ask your customer to come to you. You have to adapt to them. So that starts with what's important to them, and making sure that you can indeed provide an exact solution at a mutually agreeable price.
We were speaking about AI, and I feel like a lot of people are a bit concerned about the use of AI, and they feel like their jobs are going to become redundant, or there's no longer a need for them in the next couple of years. How do you feel about this with the use of technology?
Sure. And I think there's far smarter experts on the topic, but I'll share my perspective. First of all, I don't know that people fearing their jobs will be replaced by AI is the largest concern over artificial intelligence. There's this notion that super intelligence is right around the corner, that the momentum of AI will surpass human thinking, within the next 5+ years. I think that's a much bigger problem than what we're dealing with. But it's a cliche right now that you won't lose your job to AI as a professional, but you will lose your job to people who know AI. So I think if you're using it as the tool that it is, and you're using it to, for example, I use it routinely to reword streams of thought into brevity. I'll ask it to reword for brevity for my audience. So I'll say for the CEO or an investor or board member of X company, and it's just helping me. It's a tool. Do I feel that somebody is going to create a bot that is able to help a salesperson navigate blind spots, navigate obstacles in complex organizations, navigate gatekeepers, spontaneously respond to a question, an objection, an opportunity, and do what I do as a human? I don't think that's necessarily going to happen that quickly, but I'm not going to rule that out. What should focus on, and we've talked largely about this, is the uniquely human element of sales, and the ability then to use tools like generative AI to increase your productivity, enhance your efficacy, and do your job better. But those who are relying on AI to do their job, maybe they should be replaced by AI. Maybe they're proving that they can be. I don't see that for rainmakers, though. I see that being a human element.
Mark, thank you so much for your time and for joining Whistle Talks. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you, and we will definitely be in touch.
Thank you, Kayla. It was my pleasure.